So today we're going to be going over the Indiana Fever training camp footage, and we are going to be going over quite a few things. So I'm going to be talking about how their offense looks, I'm going to be talking about how their defense looks, and I'm going to be talking about the starting five. These are going to be in 3 separate videos. I'm recording them all back to back to back, and they will be uploaded on the hour every hour. So obviously it was like 6:30 my time when I uploaded a kind of short breakdown video going over everything. If you guys want to see just a quick recap, you can look at my previous video, the one before this, but this is going to be going in depth about their rotations from what we have seen. So, straight away, an obvious one. The team that they are going out with. So, where is it? I'm obviously looking at the correlation. The old correlation Twitter account. So, if you guys are looking here, we can see what the lineups are. So, the starters are expected. The starters are to be expected. It is Natasha Howard. It is Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark, and DeWanna Bonner. The bench five, surprisingly enough, in the bench lineup, they have Jaylen Brown in there, but what I'm expecting is that what you guys will see, if you're wondering like where certain players are, there's a starting 7. There is a starting 7, so it looks like this is going to be their main rotation. And then there is a bench 8 by looks of things. So the players that are not on the court right now are Bree Hall. Who's not on the floor at the minute, actually? It's Bree Hall, Jillia Lane, and Yvonne Ejim. So they're not on the floor right now. And if you're wondering about Briana Turner and Sophie Cunningham, if you guys look a little bit, down a little bit at some of the following clips. So this clip right here, you can see there is Jaylen Brown is on the floor, so she is in the starting 5 of the bench lineup. Obviously, is Dantas thrown it out? Oh no, she hits the rim at least. So Lexi Hull's in that lineup. However, if you guys are looking at this right here, if you guys are looking at this lineup that they're running with right here, the Indiana Fever. So you can see the lineup right now. It is the bench is Yvonne Ejim's on the floor, Bree Hall is on the floor, or Jillia Lane is on the floor there. Sydney Colson. Is Bree Hall on the floor? Yeah, geez, Bree Hall is very slow getting back there on defense. And also, Bree Hall's really slow getting back there on defense. Jesus. But if you're looking at Caitlin Clark running down, first of all, what is Jaylen Brown doing? But that's talking about defense. But if you're looking at we're looking at purely lineups here. Sophie Cunningham is in, and Bree Turner is in. So it looks to be that the way their rotations are going to look is they're going to be looking at the small ball rotation. So normally, look, as somebody that coaches, every team runs their rotations differently. Every team, when they go to practice, runs their rotations completely differently. But what normally is the case is that, say, if you've got a 7-player rotation as your main 7-player rotation, you're not gonna put in, let's just say you're not gonna go 5 starters versus 5 bench and then go your 2 subs, unless you want to go 5-5-5. You don't have 15 player. No, you don't. You've got 13. Do they have 15 players actually? They might have been able to go 5-5-5. Either way, they're going to go 5-5, 2 bench on one team, 3 bench on the other. You're going to put, normally if you're doing something like that, especially if you're going starters v bench, you're going to have the next 2 off the bench with your starters, or you're going to be swapping players on teams. But if you're going to stick with the starter squad, as we know, in the Fever, Grey team is bench. Grey team is bench team, from what we know from the Fever anyway. So you're seeing Sophie Cunningham and Bree Turner on the bench. So a lot of people talking about Bree Turner potentially like not getting cut. By the looks of things, Bree Turner is going to be in the real rotation. And I think that's fair. I think that is completely fair that Bree Turner is in that rotation. It's funny, like the Fever are only sharing clips. They're showing this sidestep, and also Jaylen Brown, horrific defense there. And she headbutts a wall. There's no way she walks in and, like, with 2 seconds left in practice, no one guards her. No one guards the 3-point line. She's probably hitting her head off the wall of frustration of something. But she is not happy at all after hitting that shot to end practice. But yeah, it is very interesting because, again, it's a weird one when it comes to Bree Turner. Like, a lot of people were saying, oh, you know, Briana Turner, she only averaged, if you look at her stats last year from the Sky, she only averaged 1.2 points per game. But, like, if you look at her stats for her career, It was just the Sky didn't work out. The reason why the Sky didn't work out was because Angel and Camilla played so many minutes. And I know, I just realized you guys cannot see anything with these stats right here just because of the way this is zoomed in. Maybe you can see a little bit more now. Probably not. But if you can't see it here, like she started in 2023, 33 games with Mercury, although the Mercury stunk. But in 2022, the Mercury were decent and she started every game. In 2021, the Mercury made the finals in her third year and she averaged 7.8 points per game. And again, has averaged 2 blocks per game for quite a few seasons. Like, she is that defender. She is that level player. So I think people are surprised because people just expected. Because I remember people were like, oh, they can cut Bree Turner to keep Bree Hall. I'm like, why would they cut Bree Turner to keep Bree Hall? Like, if we're being honest here, there's no reason to cut Bree Hall. Or say Bree Turner. Because they don't need Bree Hall. They have Lexi Hall and Sophie Cunningham. They don't need Bree Hall. They need Bree Turner because unless you trust Michaela Timpson to be an elite shot blocker day one and elite player day one, you're not it's unlikely. But it is still going to be interesting to see what ends up happening for the season. What ends up happening, but it's looking more than likely like Sophie Cunningham is going to be coming in at maybe the 3-4 because she can play the 4 a little bit better than Duana Bonner can. But if you're looking at this lineup here, it's looking like maybe the way that those first subs in are going to be Sophie Cunningham calling for this pass. Oh, you know what? They're not actually Gardner. They're not Gardner at all. Sophie Cunningham calling for this pass. Oh my God. That reminds me of, do you remember when Thomas Bryant had the seal when LeBron set the all-time record and you're like, oh. In fairness, it wouldn't have even been a bad pass for Caitlin, but like, no one's guarding her. You shoot the 3 ball. You shoot the 3 ball. But yeah, it is very likely. Not that Sophie Cunningham's going to start, but we also assume Sophie Cunningham's first off the bench. But Bree Turner being with that lineup, it does make a lot of sense because if you're going to go small, you need an interior presence. And if you're going to go small with Sophie Cunningham, you need an interior presence, which is Bree Turner. If you're not playing Aaliyah Boston. Like, I don't know what way they rotated throughout this practice, but the fact, like, there is starter team, bench team. They're not integrating. It does not seem like day one of training camp anyway, that they were integrating the rookies in with the expected rotation. And obviously, look, I can see the team going 10 deep for this season. Like, if you're smart, you're going 10 deep. Realistically. Like, if you're not going 10 deep, I think you're going to struggle in general. I do think you're going to struggle this season because there's 4 extra games with no extra time to play those 4 extra games. But yeah, anyway, that is it. That is the lineup. That is the Indiana Fever lineup. Obviously, we're looking at the expected starting 5, and as expected, the next up is going to be Sophie Cunningham. However, I did not expect Bree Turner to be ahead of Damaris Dantas in the lineup, but especially if the if you're going to be going with Sophie Cunningham with the 4, it does make sense having Bree Turner in if you're taking Leah Boston out of and to be fair, when you hear the other players talking about the Fever, Bree Turner is actually a part. A lot of them will say she's a part of that team, like a part of the reason why they're so scary. But anyway, yeah, that's the video. I'll see you guys.